Okay, guys, what's up? Today we will be going over a quick cinematic look and the key ingredient that a lot of people miss on making something that looks cinematic but actually blends together really good. So what we are going to do is we're going to open up DaVinci Resolve. This is a public beta 17. This release is the 8th release, so it's actually pretty stable. I wouldn't be surprised if the next one is the alpha. Versions 1 through 5 were very unstable, obviously. Now, as this loads, I will say that I'm mostly going to be going over just the color grade, assuming that you have your footage already color corrected, and so we'll be going from there. So, Untitled Project, just open that up. Now, real quick, I will explain a lot of some of the color settings. So, I'm doing things for film, not really commercial stuff, like advertising, that sort of thing, motion graphics. And so I have my monitor set to the P3 color space. This is a Mac, if you, in case you haven't noticed. P3 color space is very similar to the P3D65 color space. It actually is the same color space. The D65 is the white point, and the white point on the Mac is a little bit off. It's a little bit, not smudgy, but it's just a little bit different. Make broadcast safe. And this one, when you're doing a film, you don't really, like if it's a high-end film that's going to be on a projector that projects P3D65, that's why I use that color space. That's for theater projectors. That's the color space they project. I'm bigger than sRGB and Rec 709. So you can click this if you do or don't. Films are a little bit more flexible on that. Okay, so now we're going to go in here, boom, timeline editor. I downloaded this video off of Pexels. I'll leave the link in the description below. I had to pull that in here. Don't change. Right here, boom. And it is a cool, visual, appealing shot of these two glass buildings, and it just kind of pans around it, drone footage. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure you find the shot that's most visually appealing, but also gets the point of what you're getting across. So right here, so the point we're trying to get is the building. Even though this shot looks a lot more visually appealing, the way the camera's moving is making this building kind of move out of the focus of what the film is about. So when you keep it in there, looks like right there. What we'll do is if you hit B, it'll change it to the cutter. A, back to the mouse, and about like right there is good. Now, if you're doing footage of a, no, I'm just going to delete these other ones. If you're doing footage of a building, if you have more than like 3 seconds of that building, then your audience is going to be bored, and that is rule number 1 of filmmaking: is do not bore your audience. So keep it short, unless of course there's like an explosion and something else exciting going on. Okay, so here we have our footage. We're going to assume it's color corrected, and I mean it looks color corrected. It doesn't look graded. And just to test that, you can come over here, and sometimes the white is off a little bit. A little bit. Okay, that's a little better. Now I'm actually going to pull the gain down a little bit. When you're doing a film, you'll notice that you don't always need to spread these from 0 to 1023. Oftentimes, it's just different. It's just different. Okay, so we're going to bring that down a little bit. And then we're going to pull our lifts down. And actually, we're not going to do that. We'll leave our lifts up a little bit. Okay, now for the actual grade. Okay, so we color corrected it just a little bit, and now we've got our grade on here. What we're going to do for the grade is, because this footage is from the internet, I actually pulled the mid-tone detail down a little bit to help get rid of some of the artifacts. When you have actual footage, you do not need to do this step, unless maybe it's a night footage or it's, something like that. So then we're going to pull the saturation down just a little bit. Down a little more. Well, I should leave it up at like 35. 35 is good. Okay, so a lot of people really want to go in and they want to tweak. They want to push the red, orange into the highlights, and they want to push the lift down into the blues, and they want to call it good. Obviously, that's a little bit extreme. There's actually a way better way that makes these flow much better than that. So what we're going to do is come over here to the curves. We're going to deselect these, not chain them up. The Y is the luminance. And what we're going to do is we're going to pipe the luminance and the highlights just a little bit because it is day. If it is nighttime, I will most of the time actually still find myself pushing the highlights up a little bit. If it's nighttime, I will move the dot up a little higher, just more for like car lights or something like that. Pull our darks down a little bit, and then we're going to push the gamma up just a hair. Then we're going to go to our reds, and we're going to push the reds and the highlights. Just going to go just a little bit front now, and then we're going to pull the reds out of the low end. So, and you're essentially doing the same thing, but it's going to affect all these other values. That's why I like using the curves more. I'm going to pull the blue out of the highlights and push the blue into the shadows. And again, we just keep tweaking it until we find what we want. You can go even more, go crazy. Find there's like a sweet balance. Okay. Pull more red out of the bottom, the shadows. Push more blue. Oh, that's looking better. Now, the key that a lot of people do forget is you got to do something with the greens. You just don't want to leave the green just flat. So, oftentimes, it's normally in this area that I'll put my green dot. Sometimes it's a little bit higher depending on what it is. And I'm actually going to push these up a little bit. And if you look at our footage now, it blends together so much better than without it. So if I go without it, oh nuts, how about that? Hey, bring it back. Okay. And sometimes you can tweak the green even more up top. I'll push it a little bit more. Okay, so there's without our grade, and that's with it. Let's make things look a little bit better. Definitely not what we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come back over here, and I'm going to crank the saturation up. Do want some more color. I don't want it to be nuts, but I want a little more color there. Perfect. And then we're going to come back up to the curves and go to the highlights. I'm actually going to pull this gamma down for this shot. And I'll see, tweaking is the name of the game for this. So tweak it how you like, how your client likes, or how the look of your film you want is. That's a little too much. And again, you can just check it. That's without it. That's with it. A little more dark, a little more ominous. Pull a little more of the blues out of the highlights. Right there. Push some more blues to the shadows. Pull the reds out a little bit. Then that green's looking good. Command E. That's without it. That's with it. That's looking a lot better. Okay, so now obviously there's our footage right there. Looking good. And then what we'll do is we'll come over here to my random folder of vid stuff, letterbox, black letterbox. This is 4K, but it's being outputted to a 1080p. So we'll come over here. Theatrical release, Blu-ray, great. I do like going just a little bit more to the 255 if it's something like this. And now, that looks pretty good. I'm going to export that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching, guys.